Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stephen Covert, starring Stephen Covert. I'm your host, Stephen Covert. We have with us today the one and only, the illustrious Edgar Sandoval Jr. Edgar, thank you for being here.
Bro, thank you for having me. What an intro. I appreciate that. Like, so many big adjectives.
Listen, bro, if you Google my name, I talked about this in the last one, it comes up with Stephen Colbert first. So I said this last time, my life goal is to bump him off. So when you Google Stephen Covert, I actually
Dude,
appear.
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. After this one, bro, we're going to be, this is Stephen Colbert.
It's going to be up there.
This is
what's funny? What's funny? My dad, Edgar Sandoval Sr., is like president of a nonprofit organization. So you Google Edgar Sandoval and he comes up. And I was like, Dad, you know what? My life's goal is when you search Edgar Sandoval, that it's me.
It's you.
So it's a running joke in the family. So I get it, bro. I get it.
Why are you trying to knock off your dad? He's got a nonprofit.
I know, but listen, it's family friendly competition, bro. You know how it is.
He's doing that kingdom work with his nonprofit and you won't let him have it.
Nah, dude, let me be the star here. Come on, Dad.
No, you gotta be. Wait, so did I not? So it's Sandoval, not Sandoval?
Well, you can say it. Listen, in Spanish, it's Sandoval. So next time, just say Sandoval.
Sandoval.
Right?
Wait, Sandoval?
I say well, everybody says it a different way. Sandoval, Sandoval. Wow. Did I say Sandoval?
Sandoval? Is that the American, the Sandoval?
Yeah, Sandoval. Yeah.
I feel so uncultured. I said it the American way.
Bro, it is what it is.
You gotta do. Hey,
not picky.
So I've been following you forever. I started with Cape Lions, huge hit.
Let's go.
We loved Cape Lions. And now you're doing your solo career.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, you're leaking this new, is this an album? Is this merch? Is this total world domination? Talk to me about the Vision of Leo.
Bro, this is what will get me to top my dad's name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing.
This will take his nonprofit right down.
No, I love my dad. He's like my biggest champion in life too. So it's just funny. But we've been through a lot from Cape Lions, like you said, to my solo stuff to now Vision of Leo. So basically I would explain Vision of Leo as this. It's an expression towards God, obviously through music. Right. And I would really go as far to say it's just an artistic movement that inspires people to try to see things the way God sees them. Kind of like that verse that's like, God, break my heart, like for what breaks yours. I don't know. It came from a bunch of life experiences. I've been holding on to it for a while now, and I'm excited to finally just take a step creatively and be bold with it and trust God with it. And whatever happens. And no, we're not trying to top my dad's nonprofit. No.
But maybe Donda. We might top Donda.
Oh, maybe. Give it a good like 2 weeks and maybe we'll be close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that album.
Dude, it's pretty good. It's not my favorite, but let me continue. Before we get on that rant, so Vision of Leo, I read on your post or somewhere, you said it came from like you're asking God to help you see through his perspective, right?
Yeah, it was, I was going through a very transitional period in my life. I was moving from Ohio to Seattle. This was before Cape Lions. This was before I really started pursuing music, actually. Really? Before I ever had a song on Spotify, we moved to Seattle, and I'm with my family in this temporary home that we were renting, just trying to find a different home and blah, blah, blah. And I was spending some time just with God, like worshiping, talking to him, praying. And there was a song that came on with the lyrics that basically said, like, give me vision to see things like you do. Mm-hmm. It's a Bethel song from like 2012. I don't know. It's a pretty old song. And I made that my prayer. I made that, my expression towards God. And I was like, you know what, God, like, I don't know what you have in store for me. This is a new city. I left all my hometown friends. I left everything that I know, and I'm in a new town. Lord, I don't know what's next. And obviously I won't know it all, but I want you to give me vision to see things like you do. Whether that's for right now, this season, whether it's for tomorrow, whether it's just faith for today, to whatever capacity, give me vision to see things like you do. And as I was like just in the spirit, I had like my first radical, in whatever you want to call it, vision, like thing that that you see. And it was just the galaxies, what I could only describe as the galaxies, the Milky Way. That's the only galaxy I know. All the other
that one galaxy, it was there. I promise I saw it.
I saw the Milky Way.
It was there.
And bro, it was this beautiful picture of this eye with color and splendor, and it pierced me, and it was this powerful perspective that I could only describe as God's spirit and his ability to know all things and see all things. It just cut me, and like deep in my soul, and I shut up, and I like let out, my body just let out like a scream, like, and I just started sobbing this peaceful, joyful, these tears that they weren't sad tears. They weren't, I don't know. It was such a crazy, radical experience. And I'm laying there sobbing, saying, thank you, Lord. And this overwhelming peace just like fluttered through my entire being.
Wow.
And it was the only time that something like that has happened to me. I was maybe 17, 18. I'm 26 now. So it's been a while. And so through the years, God's taken me through seasons, through different musical chapters in my life, relationships, friendships, heartbreak, heartache, tragedy, loss, and also like wins too, and little successes along the way. But now I have always had the name Vision of Leo, incorporating vision. And then Leo is just Latin for lion. And I've always had a fascination towards like lions. They've been my favorite animal. Yeah. Always used to watch Lion King growing up. And I was like, I just resonate with just lions. They're just these powerful beings.
I love that, dude. At first, I honestly thought, I was like, man, this guy's getting into astrology. I thought this was your big break. I was like, now that's an interesting take. I was like, Edgar's popping into astrology here for a bit.
Bro, the fact that I only know like the Milky Way galaxy, like, come on now.
You're the worst person to talk about it.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, but I love that, man. So would you say that this piece of work like totally embodies, like, this is your most expressive and authentic piece? Would you describe it as that?
100%, because I'm the only one like in control. And not that I'm all about control, because if someone's better at me, say at video or at editing or whatever, by all means take the reins. But I'm excited to kind of go back to my grassroots creative process, which has always been, as a kid, it's always been, I had like a flip camera. That was my first camera, and I would make home videos. I'd follow like YouTubers like Kev Jumba and like Niga Higa, and like these really,
we
like,
love those guys.
They're the OG like YouTubers. So
did you have the white flip, the Flip HD?
Yep.
Bro, I had the exact same one. Wow, dude, look at that.
Isn't that crazy? So it's like, 100%. It's like, it's just all me, everything that's in my mind. As far as the music goes, I am working with like a bunch of different talented producers, just that I've connected with over the years. And so I'm excited for it.
Dude, that's huge.
It is huge.
And I think what you described is like totally unadulterated, like raw artistry. Like your experience, this is an entirely creative expression of that moment you had where you just cried out.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear. Exactly. I think it's definitely going to show in the music.
It's going to be so fun, man. And my expectations for it, because I've been in different headspaces and in my different projects that I've done in the past. So for example, we can get into Cape Lions whenever, but with that rap project, we were very focused on becoming this successful rap group because it just happened. By the grace of God, it just happened. With my EDM stuff, obviously I was just trying to do like EDM pop music, like love songs. And so my mindset was like, oh, like we're going big. We're going big time. But with Vision of Leo, like the whole point is just to inspire just one person. like really just one person. So I hope people can really see who Edgar truly is artistically, musically, lyrically, and just get inspired also to want to pursue God more and see things from his perspective. So
I'm sure you've probably gotten this a lot, but not that the traditional Christian music isn't cool.
Yeah.
But your remixes of Every Move I Make get me bro. I listen to it in the gym, bro. I love that thing. That thing's insane. That goes hard, bro.
But you know what's funny is like so when my like TikTok days and I was like heavy on TikTok, I was like always thinking of like, oh, what could be like a cool viral idea? And so when I started doing Christian music, I was like thinking, okay, of like viral things to do in the Christian space. And so that's where I was like, oh, what about that like youth camp song I used to sing? What's it called? Every Move I Make. So I like searched it. I don't remember the movements, but I was like, this is about to be a bop.
I'm about to make a banger out of this Christian song. Bro, it has like, it's got like 1 million streams now, right?
I know. I would have never thought that. It's crazy.
500,000 of those are me just driving to the gym and then driving back from the gym.
That's how you get pumped up for the gym.
Dude, every move I make gets me there on the bench, bro. Every move. That's so funny. Dude, but that style, didn't that like that very like, I don't even know how you describe that. It's like a very trappish whatever. That started with like, that was mainly, you took off on that solo side with Stuck Up, right? Wasn't Stuck Up your first kind of like step into that like 100%. Banger sphere?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like, that's my whole point of Stuck Up when I made that was to make a viral song. Like that was my absolute headspace. I'm like, I'm going to make, that was the whole like premise of my TikTok like campaign. Like I want to pass Roxanne and stuff like that. So, and it worked. It was wild.
Arizona Zervis was like quaking. He's like, oh, he's about to make Christian music real cool in a second.
Who's this kid?
Who is this Edgar Sandoval? Well, I remember you talked about it because didn't you get like crazy label offers just off of that one song?
I did. Yeah, I did, bro. It was wild. It was like the most amount of industry exposure I'd actually ever received ever. Like I was taking trips to like New York, LA. I was in like the Sony building in New York, and every floor is like a sub label under Sony that's owned by Sony. And so I went from like, what was it? I think
the higher you get, the more like notoriety. It's like if you get level 4, like, oh, he's a level 4 guy. That's you have to go straight to 10. There's Post Malone. Post Malone's waiting up there on floor 10.
Dude, he's just waiting to get on Stuck Up. No, I've been waiting for you.
He's like, finally, welcome.
But it was like it was so cool because I had never like, you know, shaken hands of like industry professionals. That was right before the pandemic too.
Yeah.
And then it was such a fun experience, that whole thing. Yeah. But I also learned a lot about the industry and what like my goals are, what my passions as far as like the industry side really is. I can just say it's not the type of music that Stuck Up is anymore.
It definitely puts a perspective on it.
Yeah. And I'm just glad. And even throughout like the whole pandemic and stuff, like God's been really working on my heart to use my gifts to glorify him. And that's really what it's come to. There's been so much, man. It's been such an incredible journey of like God's hand and challenges along the way. But Stuck Up was a really good time, and bro, it was so fun. It was so fun.
To touch like what you said about going and shaking hands with the big wigs and the greasers, obviously to a different extent. But so I went to Las Vegas on this kind of like marketing entertainment sphere trip. Yeah. And there was like the top of the top, like there was like app developers and all of like the venture capitalists there. And I was like, man, I cannot wait. Cause so I'm like very extroverted. I'm going to like, you know, the Enneagram. Have you ever taken the Enneagram?
I think I'm like a 7. I don't remember. 7 or 9. I forget.
I could see that.
I don't know. Maybe, well, I feel like, can you change? I feel like you can change over time. Because last time I took it was like 3 years ago.
Last time Stuck Up came, I was a whole different kind of Enneagram, let me tell you.
I was an 8 for Cape Lion, 7 for Stuck Up.
I think you're slowly becoming who you really were meant to be, Edgar.
That's facts.
But like I was saying, so I'm like a 4-wing 3, which a 4 is the artist, like the creative tortured soul type.
Okay.
And then the 3 is the achiever. So my whole life up until very recently, I wanted to like, go. And if I'm not moving, I get anxious. I'm like, I want to be achieving something. But up until recently, I went to that Vegas trip and I was like, all right, here I am. I'm where I need to be. God's finally given me this opportunity to show off what I've got.
Yeah.
And it was so funny how you use that. Like you said, like you get to where you thought you always wanted to be, and it shows you what was really waiting and what you exactly don't want.
Yeah.
I came back to little Richmond, Virginia, and I was like, man, I like it here. I kind of dig this vibe. It's scary, so bro. Funny. Especially really Las Vegas, man. I think I saw Tiesto. Tiesto was eating dinner in the restaurant I was at. And I'm like, this is not real. Tiesto and G-Eazy was performing at the resort. It was weird.
That's crazy.
I was like this, and I bumped into this older guy. I don't know. He was waiting for his bags, but this puts it into perspective. Was
it Morgan Freeman?
It was not Morgan Freeman, unfortunately.
Dang, bro.
But like, I'm giving you all this context to kind of establish it. But so he was standing there, this random guy, and he was like, the best thing about Vegas is everything you see can be bought. And I was
it's the Joker.
I said, some men just want to watch the world. and I sat there. I was like, man, this is not the life.
Yeah.
There is so much evil, even in just waiting for my bag.
So your headspace, like, what was your headspace going into that though? And versus like coming out, were you like, this is it for me? Yeah. Like, this is going to be a great opportunity. And then you were like, I don't know.
Well, I thought, because I was kind of like sometimes like early on in like your professional career, you're like, all right, I'm going to get to the top. And then I'm going to be like, all right, God got me here. And then I'll start to talk about it once I have that platform. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get this. I was on the plane and I was like, man, this is the first day of the rest of my life. I was like, this will prove I'm wrong. But then after I got there, I was like, this is exactly what God wanted to show me to change my perspective and my outlook. And I really needed it because I'm only 22. So it was a good, like, I'm glad it happened recently, or I would have been.
Yeah.
But he was like, 100%. Hey man, look at all this gross stuff that you don't want to be involved in. Yeah. So I totally related to what you said. I mean, obviously not to the same extent, but people are people.
Dude, and just
high you climb the elevator.
And whatever, I mean, every industry is like slimy in its own way. And entertainment, like, I knew what I could not sacrifice.
Right.
And so when it comes to like in Stuck Up, I'm saying like a baddie with a fatty. Obviously, I'm talking about like a girl's butt.
Right.
And like my whole intention with that song is like to blow up. And then God just did a complete 180 on me. And he's like, no, like I'm gonna show you what you're currently desiring, and you're probably gonna hate it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And I did, and I truly did. So that's funny that you had that similar experience.
I just listening, but what you did was, I think you almost made, like, it was almost like a mockery of the industry, because you knew exactly what to say. You talked about women, you talked about cars.
True.
And I heard, this is really clever, because it was almost like a backhand. You're like, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to show you that I just did it in my bedroom.
That's actually really, like, that's true. Like, I never, and I feel like being creative, not to like toot my own horn, but like,
no, please toot it. Just blow the horn.
I feel like, well, like, when I made that song, let's see, I would try to go, the whole point is like, I'm going viral. I'm doing that, whatever means. I wasn't going to cuss in the song. I'm not going to do that.
You had morals back then.
Yeah, morals.
You were touching the surface. You're like, I won't cuss. I'll talk about the baddie with a fatty, but not.
And you know what's funny though? Like, when you start to push the envelope just a little bit, like, that's when you start to, like, the Holy Spirit will really call you out. Because I'll say this too. When I did Cape Lions, there were opportunities where we were writing stuff for like Travis Scott, like demos to like pitch to Travis Scott. And this other rapper, I can't really remember,
Post
but
Malone or whoever it was.
It's like I don't know.
Like Kanye. I think Kanye was going by something else back then.
Something like that. Drake. I can't remember. I don't know. They're up and coming. But
Jay-Z was about to come out of retirement for something.
Oh yeah, for real.
No, but continue.
But there are these A&Rs. They're like, hey, can you like write some demos? They might not get pitched, but like, you know, they're for artists like Travis Scott, blah, blah, blah. They started naming all these people. And I'm like, oh, bet. Okay. Sounds good. And then that was where a little bit of compromising started. And like, we had to, me and my brother Gospel, we had to like pull back the reins and be like, no, like, what did God give us? and let's stay within those parameters, because if we start to go off, like, you know, his hand could get right off of this whole thing as quickly as it was on it. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyways.
So I'm going to ask the question we're all thinking, is Cape Lions, is it ever returning? Are we ever getting Cape Lions 2? A vision of Lion. Is that, wait, so Cape Lions, Leo, I see, I'm seeing the theme. I'm picking up on it now. I understand.
Yeah. I just love lions.
You love lions.
Listen, it's been, honestly, I can say that the pandemic really changed a lot. Because Cape Lions, we were doing it while we were in college. We were living like 5 minutes away from each other. I wasn't married. You know, I didn't have all these like other responsibilities that I have now. And so with the pandemic and just kind of getting married, and now my amazing wife, she's doing her own amazing thing, like with the friggin' I Love You song, which is crazy. She's
blown up.
She's just going wild. I don't think that right now we will see a return of Cape Lions. Gospel is doing some major things right now in Seattle, which I'm really excited for.
There we go.
I'm about to put him on blast real quick, but
put him on blast, please.
He is starting this like worship collective called OV Worship International. OVO. Super. OVO records.
It's Drake's worship collective.
This is how it just comes around.
Drake's actually about to have a huge transformation after Donda.
Let's go.
That'd be insane.
Can you imagine?
I can't imagine that.
And so, he started this thing called OV Worship International. It's like a huge worship collective. And honestly, like the vision for that is crazy. I'm proud of him for pursuing, because you know what, like Cape Lions was something we did as like best friends in college. Like we hadn't had time to really discover what God had for us individually. He had great things in store for us together as like brothers and best friends. And he used that. Like I literally met my wife because of Cape Lions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, life has changed. There's been a lot of dynamic changes. I'm on the opposite side of the country now, trying to figure out what's next for my family. And obviously my wife's working on her stuff. I'm helping her out with that. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for like us to discover what it is that God literally has kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is explore the creativity and like the innovation that God has like planted in our minds as individuals. Right. You know what I mean?
And like you were saying, like if that hadn't have taken place, you never would have developed a style.
Yeah.
You never would have known what to stay away from, what to pursue. Never would have met the wife.
Yeah.
What else do you need besides that?
Literally
those are
nothing.
The three most important things in your career.
I'm moving to like a farm now, and I'm just going to retire.
Bro, please do the Kanye thing where he bought the farm or whatever. Didn't he move to like Alaska Montana, like make a studio or something?
Yeah, I think something like that, bro. Honestly, like that sounds nicer as I'm like getting older. Like it just sounds nice. Like I'm like 45. That sounds nicer as
on the rocking honestly, chair. If only I hadn't moved.
It sounds nice. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe we'll see like a country version of Edgar down the line.
Please get Thomas Rhett on whatever it takes to make it pop off.
Honestly,
dude, you talk about the pandemic a whole lot. Just to bring it back, how do you think that pandemic formed you like as a believer? Like I know I used to follow you going through all that. You were talking about prophetic dreams. Yeah, a lot of things were going through your mind back then.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I'm very curious because everyone perceived that pandemic differently. We all grew. Yeah. You know, we all had to trust God a little bit more. I think definitely. It tested our faith a whole lot. So like, what did that mean to you?
I don't think I would be making like faith-based music if like, honestly, the pandemic didn't really happen. And I know it affected everybody differently, but the way it affected me was like, I was alone with just God for like the longest time. Yeah. Like I was living with my parents throughout the early stages. I couldn't like go see gospel very much because I have a sister who's immunocompromised. She has cerebral palsy. And so we have to be really careful with like what we're doing. Wow. And so I couldn't see I couldn't see gospel. I couldn't go record very much. And so I had a lot of like alone time where it's just me and God, and I would go on walks. I'd go ride my bike, whatever. And I had really come fresh out of like graduation, and all the like stuck up viral stuff was like dying down a little bit. I remember it clearly. As soon as we finished like shooting the video for Stuck Up, like the pandemic went off, and I had to like get a flight home to Seattle. But it put me in a place where it's just me and the Lord. And there were like nights where I'm like crying out, Lord, like, what do you have next? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? You know, I love my family, but like, you know, I'm 24 and I'm like living in the basement, and like, I don't know what's next. And I don't know if I should look for a job right now, even though I have a degree, because I have this passion, and literally my song just got millions of streams, and like, what do I do? And that was around the time where Emily and we were like traveling back and forth. We were engaged, but like we're going to like visit each other for moments at a time. And we got married. And as soon as we got married, that's a whole nother thing, just navigating marriage and like what God has in store for the both of us. But it really created this inside of me. The past year and a half has created a sense of like urgency to seek the Lord more, and really be in alignment with his will, and his purpose. Because if I try to do something prematurely, or if I try to break out of a season that I'm in too early, it can mess things up a little bit. And I'm actually, we're learning that right now. We're in Florida right now. And quick little 2-minute story. We moved to Florida because we felt like we were stuck in a location. And I hope what I'm about to say will help some people out. We realized that if you feel stuck, a change of scenery will not change that. A change of location will not change that. It might present a new environment, new people, new relationships. But if God has you in a place where you're alone, and not alone in the sense of like you don't have him, in a sense of like it's just you and the Lord, and you're growing, and you're learning to be fully dependent on him, you have to embrace that tension, and you can't try and break out of that prematurely, because it's just dangerous. And I'm learning that right now.
Bro, I think I was the one that needed to hear that. I don't know if you're talking about, I was like, man, that's good stuff, bro. Because I think the pandemic created so much anxiety.
Oh my goodness.
I know for myself too, during like, just like you were saying, like I was like 20, 21, because you just, it gave the world like consequences. Like we could wake up and they'd be, you know, he'd come back. We'd see Jesus return.
I don't think I ever experienced, you know, it's just so crazy, but I always like undermined the spirit of anxiety or just that feeling. And because I never experienced it. So I'm like, oh, it's just a headspace. Like you just got to break out of it.
Oh, amen.
But bro,
bro, you're preaching to I'm the choir right now. I'm like, yes, continue.
But at like early 2020, I first experienced anxiety for myself, and it just put everything in perspective. And it's like, it's tough. It's really tough. And I can't imagine so many people. Honestly, I like to count my blessings and thank the Lord for where I'm at today and everything he's given me, because there are people that are really struggling a lot worse than I am. Yeah. I don't know when the pandemic will end or whatever, but it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people. Bro,
I feel like our timelines are just lining up. During it was a couple years, it was like 2. I really experienced it as well. And it was so humbling for me too, because up until that point, I was like, man, I am the man. God's got me. I've got no problems.
Right.
You know, like I'm just soaring on cloud 9. But then I was like, man, there's a real need for me to be in constant prayer. Like there's a real need for me to be seeking fellowship and community that's uplifting. Because up until that point, I was like, man, I got my 99 Honda Civic and we can drive as far as we can.
Yeah, exactly.
That was really relatable what you said. I appreciate you saying that.
No, it's so true. And so kind of back to now being in an area of tension, my prayer has been, you know, Lord, I'm not going to work on any project. I'm not going to release any music unless you are truly in the middle of it. And I will see it as a sign for me to take a step forward if you give me an undeniable, like complete urge that I just can't walk away from.
Right.
And so the past month or so has been a journey of really praying to God about what my next like project will be, or next step in music will be, or just purpose in general. And until like 2 weeks ago, I was just scrolling through Instagram, and there's this pastor preaching, and he's preaching about people being stuck. And I think a lot of people feel stuck like right now. Yeah. And he's just preaching whatever. And I'm like, all right, God, you know what? If you, I am on the verge of just like, I just want to be creative again for you. I'm ready to do it 100%. That's the way it's been for the past 4 weeks before I started this Vision of Leo thing. And I said, Lord, like it was a 7-minute video I was watching. And I said, God, listen, God.
God, let me get real with you for a second.
Let me just get real with you real quick. If you want me to pursue this Vision of Leo thing and take a step of faith, somehow bring in the topic of having vision in this little short video. Yeah. We got 7, there's like 2 more minutes left. He's just preaching, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, God, if this guy even mentions vision, like I'm just doing it. I'm doing it.
I'm taking it all. I'm running with it.
And God knows, bro, God knows, like us creative people, like you said, like we just constantly love to do things, like be in motion and create different things. And for the past 1.5 years, I haven't created really anything that I'm fully, that I've felt my heart and soul is like fully immersed in, other than like Cape Lions. That was like the last thing. And since that has fizzled and 1.5 years has passed, I've just been itching to use my gifts again. And then lo and behold, like there's 5 seconds left in this video. And the dude's like, I feel like there are some of you who, what was it that he said? He's like, that God is trying to 10x your vision. And I was like, and then the video ends and I'm like,
you were in the kitchen just making your over easy eggs, and you hear vision, and you're like, "Oh no!"
For real,
I'm getting to the studio,
bro. That's me all day. I just be looking for God in like the little things all the time. And then I heard that, and it had been a constant prayer. It wasn't just like this one-time thing. Yeah. Like, God, mention the word vision, and no, like it was like there were times
over there just mumbling like, God, I didn't mention the word vision. That'd be funny.
Vision. I'm doing it.
That's it. I'm in the studio. Just any little thing to get the music out.
It's been like I've had about 10 other times in the past month where I've been praying for God to show me, and He shows me, but I've doubted it. Mm-hmm. Like time and time again, He showed me like, hey, you should do this Vision of Leo thing, not because it's going to make you ultra successful. Just your next artistic expression towards me will be this, you should do it. And I'm like, okay, that was like a sign, but I need more of a sign. And then the next sign comes. I'm like, not really. So for the past month, it's been sign after sign after sign. And then this was kind of like the tipping point for me. And I'm like, I'm just gonna take a step and know that the Lord is walking with me no matter what. And I've really been trying to, my mind and my perspective when it comes to like my work and my music and artistry and stuff has become so healthy when, with all the other things that I've done, like all those things have failed, not really failed, but like they didn't last long term, and it's created this healthy relationship between me and my work. And it used to be about success. It used to be about building a business. It used to be about, how many followers. It used to be about selling out on merch, becoming wealthy, whatever it may be, the next big thing, getting this feature, writing for a Travis Scott, whatever. It used to be those things. But now it's finally, at least for God, it's just like, finally, like, let's go. Finally, it's not about any of those things. And there's joy in 5 followers and 5 views, like one person getting inspired, one person feeling like the Spirit of God was on a song or on a video, or it spoke to them. Man, that's the type of like joy that I receive now from working on stuff. And so it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. And I think that gives your mind some rest on your priorities.
Oh my goodness.
It gives I think it just gives you freedom. And also, you forgot to mention that you may bump your dad off the Google search. Don't forget that's a priority to you. I know that's important to you.
Oh my goodness, dude. I need to just get that tattooed on my arm right here.
You got to get your dad's name in the Google search like numbers.
For real.
400 results. You're like,
can you imagine?
Dude, but in all seriousness, that's what you said. That's great stuff.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And I feel like, dude, we're all on the journey with you.
True.
You've got the Instagram people on your side. You got me.
Let's go.
You got everyone in the studio right now. They're waiting for it. Dude, but it's crazy, man. Yeah. I'm excited for you. I feel like this is gonna be really freeing.
It really is. And I used to be so stressed. I think all of us, whenever we're pursuing something, like we do get caught up in like the future of our project. Will it last? Will it build me, long-term wealth? Will it? But dude, like none of that stuff matters. Like you were saying before, like, bro, Jesus he could literally just come back.
Right.
Like straight up.
And what do we have to show for it? We've got some streams.
Exactly.
We got Edgar on the podcast. That's
exactly. Hey, that's different. That's
a whole other thing. Like Jesus is okay with that one. That one's but your music, man, that's all about you.
Too much, yeah.
Dude, but man. Oh, and also talk to me about these paintings behind you. I was gonna ask at the beginning. Please touch on these, bro. You were selling these for speaking of worldly gain, you were selling these for $900.
I know, bro. Listen, I went through a phase. Okay, we need to hit the art phase.
Please come back to the art phase. I wanted to touch on. I didn't know if we were there yet, but I think it needs to be talked about. I
needed to express myself. Right. Like I needed to, and music, I wasn't inspired to write. This is when we lived in Texas, like earlier. This was earlier this year.
Texas is huge. Joe Rogan's there right now, and if Joe Rogan is there, that's where we all need to be. We all have to be in Texas.
I know, facts. But I actually don't know if this will be a phase. I think it might actually come back. I'm not gonna lie.
I kind of like it.
I went through this period. This one right here, Emily painted actually. She's so talented, and then this one. Yeah, I did that. I just paused.
He said, that's my wife's. And then
there's dude, I don't know. I was just like,
is that an alligator? What is crunching on the
listen.
Is that a cat?
That's a demonic being right there. And that little dragon thing, that's supposed to represent Satan.
Okay.
He's blowing this like fire. And it says inside the fire, it basically says like lies, fear, anxiety, insecurity, doubt, shame. If you could see, I don't know if you get, there's like an arrow that points to it, and it's like the serpent.
Is that hung up on a wall? Wait,
hold on. We got a standing desk, bro. Let's go.
What is happening? Edgar, where are you going? Also, I can't hear your mic as well, so you might have to grab that mobily.
Oh, shoot.
Actually, no, I can hear it now. Okay, give us...
Check 1, 2.
I want you to pretend like I'm in your interactive museum right now. Talk to me about your piece on the wall, Mr. Sandoval.
All right, so on this piece, even though the rest of the top is completely cut off, we have the serpent right here representing the devil. Okay.
Yes.
And he's just spewing this fire of lies and anxiety. But right there, that man with the purple, purple is like the color of like royalty.
Right.
That's my boy God right there.
Oh, okay? And he's in the white space, perhaps. Is that to symbolize the glory and the purity?
Sure.
All right. I think it's all expressive. It's subjective what I'm feeling right now.
Exactly. So whatever like you interpret from it, that's exactly what it is.
I'll take it. Give me 3.
That's so funny.
So talk to me. Is that the globe coming out of a man's head? And why is his nose so minuscule?
Okay, listen. So the top of it, which you can't see, it says, "This is not my kingdom."
Okay.
And so this man's like head is like connected to the world to kind of illustrate that. It's been a while since I looked at that painting, so just give me a sec.
Like it's been a while since I had that dream.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really even paint that. Actually, I just bought it off Craigslist.
Some artist down the road, you're like, this looks good.
For real. It really just has to do with like, I don't know, our minds being consumed with worldly things. Pretty much the point I was trying to get at. And I'm just on my balcony, just kind of painting away, just kind of like doing me, just like chilling. It's not really for any purpose. And I had been reading like a bunch of articles of like famous painters, and I was like into all these Instagram accounts. I follow this painter who like sells paintings for like $20K, and I'm like, dang, that's so fun. Like he just
that's
scribbles.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money, and that's so like I want that. And so
I tried to for the new Subaru.
Cash. And so I tried to like go for that, I don't know, artistic painter of like high value type of vibe.
Right.
But I haven't touched it since. Dude.
It looks good. So for the people that are listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, I'm going to describe the painting.
I'm so sorry for them.
I'm going to describe the painting for you. So it's a canvas, like an average side canvas. There's what appears to be a gold alligator mouth at the bottom. The teeth are separated as someone who wouldn't wear a retainer or something like that. There are eyes floating above the alligator teeth. There's a cat that looks like it got backed into by a Toyota car. It's been backed into. And then there's blood spewing from the aforementioned gold teeth that are, read me those words that are coming in the blood.
Crush the head of the serpent.
Now that's just a metaphor for, the biblical times when, crushing down on Satan and what Edgar has, projected.
Right.
What's the word? Displayed. On the other side of these, of the serpent being crushed, there's Jesus in a white sphere with purple to represent royalty, like we talked about earlier. And if you go up, there's a few old 2000s Nickelodeon looking drawings right above in a brown space.
Yep.
And then up top, there's a globe. There's a man. There's little writings here and there that are in red that look like a little bit of an angsty expression. And then there's an X over one of these red. It's a very much a time leap. I think what it embodies is the pandemic. And that's my review.
Okay. Yep. I guess so. There it is.
Listen, I actually really like that paint. I think the thing about art is it's always subjective. Like I can hate on that as much as I want, but that's your expression and that's worth something to you and whoever feels and connects. And I like it because it's not uniform. It's all over the place. And that's how our thought processes most often are. It's
just, to be honest, this is like my mind.
Right. That's what I mean.
Like it's just, and who doesn't love Nickelodeon? Like Drake and Josh is my vibe.
Bro, I think Drake's in some trouble right now. Isn't he on the news for something?
Let me correct that phrase. The show Josh. Love
Bell.
That show.
I love iCarly.
Yeah, I love iCarly.
But the guy on the left looks
Wait, is he on iCarly? He was
No,
Josh?
I was just because Miranda Cosgrove was on Drake and Josh.
Got you.
I was just a joke. I was just a joke that I went.
No, I got it.
I'm sorry. I should have kept
I
should have kept you posted on that one.
Nah, dude, it's okay.
Dude, Edgar, so when can we get a signed piece to put back here on the wall for the studio? When do I get a piece up here?
You want this one?
Please. Which one do you feel less attached to?
I can't give my wife's away.
Yeah, don't give that one.
And I'm totally attached to my piece. So I guess you're just stuck with it.
I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to take a screenshot and print it.
Yeah, take it. And with the top cut off. It doesn't even show the whole
just your
thing.
head. Oh, man. That one's nice.
Bro, but that's the thing though. Like I always feel like I have to be expressing myself. And I've never painted anything before. Like, have you ever painted anything before or no?
I have not. No.
Yeah.
I tried to think about it. I'm not one of those, but my brother used to do a lot of airbrushing. So that's cool. He made the little airbrush shirts you find at Busch Gardens. He did that.
Ooh, okay. Let's go.
Hey, but listen, when you started painting that, I don't know if you're aware, but Ed Sheeran also got into like splash painting for his Afterglow single. And he used that as the single art. So it might not be a coincidence that the number one like singer songwriter in the world and Ed Sheeran you are on the same wavelength when it comes to expression. So I think you and Ed are in need of like, there's a collab in the future.
I agree. I think so. You know what? I'm thinking this is just an idea.
Talk to me.
Every move I make, remix
with
Ed Sheeran.
Let me show you the Afterglow cover art. I'm going to
show me.
For the people listening on, the many platforms we offer, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen at home for your convenience, just Google the Afterglow cover art. All right, here's what we're working with. That's what it looks like.
Oh, no way.
Let me turn my brightness down.
Oh, it's all good. Okay, it's about to focus. Just give it.
Like
Ooh.
that man went full. Who
He
is
did
that?
that.
Pollock. That's Pollock's kind of style, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jackson?
I don't.
You know
I
Pollock?
honestly don't know. No,
You're not
I don't
a.
follow art. I just paint.
You're not a consumer of the arts. I don't
No.
either. But I just read a book in high school. I think talked about Pollock.
You know what's crazy with music? I'm like not. I don't know much about like music industry news. I just like making it.
But I feel
Like, I
that's-
don't-
The
I
most
don't keep up-
successful artists aren't the ones consumed in the politics.
That's a good point. Although I feel like it is informative to like know what's going on in your industry, but like
Right.
I never like, I never. I don't know.
I've never,
I just-
never have I ever listened. to
Never have I ever listened to.
But
I don't
listen, But I mean, you don't really need to follow it because your wife is like the number one right now. She's
Bro.
Dude, I Love You Baby. It's like 600 million. Surf Mesa went hard on that thing.
Bro, I think you guys need to see this, all right? Especially for the podcast. One sec.
Please. Is this the platinum record that I saw somewhere?
No.
Wow.
Look at that.
I wish you had something to do with that.
Look at that ring light.
I wish you had something to do with that song.
Oh, bro, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just a good husband, really, honestly.
You were really just a supportive husband, which she couldn't have done it without that.
I told her to start posting on TikTok, and she did.
You were a pioneer of that TikTok thing, man.
I literally, all right, this is where my credit is due.
Please.
I told her to post covers on TikTok. She eventually sang the I Love You Baby song. And then Surf Mesa took that audio, flipped it, and bam.
Listen, you could say that art is most important where it was inspired from. And and when she says I love you, baby, it's EDGAR.
EDGAR. Yeah.
And so she would be
Edgar.
nothing without you.
Out EDGAR.
Without.
Correct.
And on the back of the plaque, you wrote like extra credit to EDGAR for inspiring this in like a Sharpie.
I just like crossed her name out of the plaque and just put presented to EDGAR.
When she first got it, she put it on the wall and like went out that evening, and you were just up there like writing on it like, she'd be nothing without me.
Bro, nah, she's killing it. She's so talented. Like she's working on an album right now, and it's just, bro, who could have, like, I just can't put into words like the amount of just favor over her life. Just from that, like alone is just insane. Like that's everything I've literally ever wanted is like my life's goal was to like, oh, I want to chart on Billboard. Honestly, like honest to God, when I was doing my EDM, my other stuff, I was like, I want to chart on Billboard. That's like my thing. And God's like, nah. And then here's Emily just like singing on TikTok and then just boom, number one. And I'm just like, all right, God, you're really aligning like my desires to be like your desires.
God said, you won't get it, but you're going to have to live with someone who.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Hey, but you know what? Me and my wife, we are one, you know, we are married. We are united.
It's yours.
It's really my number one too, to be honest.
You're on, are you on LinkedIn with like number one Billboard hit? Do you have that on your resume? Like that's mine.
Bro, I used to flex so hard on LinkedIn.
Did you
like,
really
I'm
use
not
LinkedIn?
Of course.
I love LinkedIn. It's such a powerful tool.
I haven't been on it in a minute, but I really did use like before the pandemic when I was like unsure what to do with my life, but I was like blowing up, but I was like, should I get a real job? I was like on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, like I've done cool music stuff. Like hire me.
Listen, you can really go ham on LinkedIn. You could like work as you could say so many things with your music production. You could say music technician, audio engineer, 50 million. You could go ham. I think you should go back on LinkedIn. I think you should stop the music thing.
Listen, if Vision of Leo just doesn't work out, I promise you I'll go work at AT&T and I will be their new marketing director.
I want you to sell me the new iPhone with your 500 gigabyte plan, please.
Where even is I don't even have my phone on me.
You don't even have a phone. Did you get rid of your phone for the album?
Yeah, I got rid of it. Yeah.
Hey, Ed Sheeran did that too. So I see another thing here.
Yeah, it's happening. I've always wanted to get a flip phone. Side note, I've always wanted to like go back to those roots.
It is such a flex to like post on the gram, be like, I got a flip phone. Text me if you have my number. And then you're just out. Like you can email me. I'll be up on my email with my iPad.
But just for my mind, like come on.
Hey, preach it, Edgar.
Okay.
Please take the soapbox.
Come on.
Come on, man. I'm telling you.
That's like the only way I explain myself. Come on.
Listen, bro, if we just because I look at my phone, I think I logged in like 7 hours of screen time yesterday.
Yep.
And if we just didn't have that, I'd have so much time to like frolic around, like throwing a frisbee, getting a coffee, reading the Bible, of course.
I don't know if this is true, but I saw something on the internet that said the average person right now in 2021 with anxiety has the same amount of like mental. No, let me rephrase.
This is about to be a hot take.
No. Okay. Yeah. I saw something that isn't true. Preface. Okay.
I saw some propaganda on the internet.
I saw some propaganda on Twitter. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was like, LinkedIn. I just be scrolling. It basically said that like the average person right now is struggling with the same sort of mental health issues that a psychiatric patient would have dealt with in the 1950s. Like, anxiety wise. I don't know how to phrase that in a pretty packaged way.
That's a hot take.
But I was like talking to my wife about it. I'm like, is it because like cell phones? I mean, it might not even be true, but like I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see how literally the way that we just live life is number one, completely different from those of like the 1950s. And we're exposed to so many different emotions when we're like scrolling on TikTok and stuff. It could just like mess with you.
It's the access. We can hear about any kind of worldly, like everything going on right now. People in the 1950s wouldn't really hear about that. So they wouldn't feel like they have that on their mind all the time. And we open our news app and we get death, pain, the world's ending. And you're like, oh, well, I'm going to think about that for a while and process that and let that weigh on my heart. But it's good. I think there's definitely, that's for another time. That's Edgar part 2. Before we jump into that one. But listen, Edgar. This has been this is an honor. I appreciate your vulnerability, man. Even for me, I was inspired. You motivated me. Just you opening up is encouraging. And I really appreciate you being here. Bro, Edgar's new album and probably some merch if we're going to be real with each other. Vision of Leo comes out the 10th or the 9th? The 10th on all major streaming platforms.
Yeah, it's actually more streaming platforms than your podcast is on. It's like a couple more. We have some in Taiwan and Japan and I'm sorry, but but wait,
Edgar, please.
It just ends.
I'm gonna cut it right there. But Edgar will be also giving out a printable sample of his art in each CD cover signed by Edgar on the back. And
oh man, all these false expectations.
But Edgar, I really appreciate you being on. Thank
you, man.
This is by far one of my favorite episodes ever. It's an honor to have you. This is huge.
Let's do it again. We'll do it again for sure.
Hey, don't play. I'll have you on in 20 minutes if you say that.
Let's do it.
Don't play, Edgar.